Hello and welcome to Elden Tales' final upload. It has been such a wonderful experience, and I'm extremely grateful for everyone that supported the channel. You have all taught me so much, and I'm sincerely thankful for all of your participation. Elden Ring is an outstanding game, and I have thoroughly enjoyed its lore. Even after spending more than 600 hours in the Lands Between, I feel that I have barely scratched the surface of ancient myths and legends that mirror Elden Ring's narrative. Before I leave, I wanted to share a few miscellaneous thoughts that I had while exploring these lands. Let's begin with Count Ymir, High Priest. The term High Priest reminded me of the High Priestess, a major arcana card in tarot. This card was originally called the Popess. In Protestant post-Reformation countries, tarot cards used the images of legendary Pope Joan, linking to the mythology of how Joan, disguised as a man, was elected to the papacy, and was only supposedly discovered to be a woman when she gave birth. This is interesting, as Count Ymir is infatuated with the idea of giving birth and becoming a mother. In the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, the basis for many modern tarot decks, the High Priestess wears plain blue robes and has a lunar crescent at her feet. The scroll in her hands, partly covered, bears the letter Torah, meaning divine law. Ymir provides us with a few revelations, but my favorite was that long ago we began as stardust, born of a great rupture, far across the skies. He reveals that we are all children of the greater will. This coincides with what Chabriri in the Body of Arena tells us in the Frenzied Flame prescription. All that there is came from the one great, then came fractures, and births, and souls. This is again echoed within the sorcerer's belief in the primeval current, as it too can be viewed as the current in which all life flows through. The term primeval referring to the earliest ages in the history of the world. I believe the primeval current is akin to a primordial black hole. What we know of the current directly describes a black hole. Azur describes the current as glimpsing an abyss of darkness, and Lestat describes it as the final moments of a great star cluster. Black holes are formed when a massive star collapses at the end of its life, and they appear as voids because they are so dense that no light can escape from them. These theoretical black holes were formed during the earliest stages of the universe. Some think that primordial black holes formed baby universes during a period of rapid cosmic inflation, where a small, collapsing universe could appear as a primordial black hole from our perspective, essentially acting as a gateway to another universe. Within black hole cosmology, it is theorized that our observable universe is the interior of a black hole. When the Tarnished battles the Elden Beast, we see numerous Erd trees scattered across a starry expanse, meaning the Lands Between resides in a baby universe, while Meter's staff mentions the mother receives signs from the greater will from beyond the microcosm. The microcosm could be referring to the Lands Between itself. The greater will is comparable to a black hole as well. Ymir's hat states that the circular design at the top represents the greater will and its lightless abyss. I believe that the primeval current and the greater will are both described like black holes because they are two sides of the same coin, both being powerful sources of creation in the Lands Between. The theory of black hole cosmology states that all life in our universe came from the same source. 3 out of the 7 legendary sorceries relate to the primeval current, and 1 relates to the greater will. Outside of Common Azur, both the legendary sorceries related to the primeval current and greater will contain the word star within their names. Elden Stars is the most ancient of those that derive from the Erd tree. It creates a stream of golden stars that assail the area, while the founding Rain of Stars is the eldest primeval sorcery, thought to be the founding of Glintstone sorcery. The glimpse of the primeval current that the astrologer saw became real, and the stars amber rained down on this land. Selen imparts to us that Glintstone sorcery is the study of stars and the life therein. Glintstone is the amber of the cosmos. Golden amber contains the remnants of ancient life, and glintstone contains residual life. Amber starlight states that if the stars command our fates, then the amber-hued stars must command the fates of the gods. Thus, both the primeval current and greater will relate to the starry expanse of space. Meter, brilliant daughter of the greater will, was the first of all stars to fall upon the Lands Between. As mentioned, she possessed a microcosm, which allowed her to receive messages from the greater will. The Staff of the Great Beyond, aka Meter's tail fingers, act as a catalyst for casting both sorceries and incantations. The staff's ability to utilize both sorceries and incantations further displays the connection between the primeval current and greater will. Most significantly, Miriel, Pastor of Vows, teaches both sorceries and incantations. Miriel explains that the shattering has caused us, all of us, to lose sight of something very dear. At the Church of Vows, the great houses of the Erd Tree and the Moon were joined, and so the Church holds in view the monuments of both houses. Brother Corin, who is religiously dogmatic, claims that any source of knowledge that isn't a prayer book is a work of heresy, because its incantations bear no lineage from the Erd Tree. Yet Muriel teaches both incantations and sorceries, because heresy is not native to the world, it is but a contrivance. All things can be conjoined. We all know that sorceress Selen's focus was in the primeval current. She was deemed heretical for her beliefs because the Carian royal family considered these ideas a terrestrial taboo. Selen, like Masters Azur and Lestat, were all banished from the academy because of their attempt to restore the primeval current of Glintstone sorcery and using other sorcerers as sacrifices. Selen gained power over death through her knowledge of primal glintstones, just as Marika gained immortality via the Elden Ring. Selen only teaches sorceries, yet at the end of her quest, she adds that she wishes to be illuminated by the secrets of life, which course through the Elden Ring. Selen, like Muriel, understands that all things can be conjoined. Heresy is a belief or opinion contrary to orthodox religious, especially Christian, doctrine. Heresy is essentially viewed as false knowledge, yet Muriel understands that heresy is a social construct crafted by the powers that be to stifle dissent and alienate resistance. This is why he teaches both sources of knowledge, as knowledge is power. Despite the similarities between the primeval current and the greater will, two horrific religious wars were fought between the houses of the Erd Tree and the Full Moon to establish dominance. Marika's actions, along with the forces of the Erd Tree, mirror real-world actions within certain religions throughout human history. In fact, a significant amount of conflict throughout our history is associated with clashing religious beliefs. Radagon led the Golden Host into Lernia, but cleansed himself with celestial dew, repented his territorial aggressions, and swore his love to Rennala. Muriel calls this event a miracle because it mended a great conflict within the lands between. Celestial Dew, aka a night tier, is a hidden tier found in the Eternal Cities. Once upon a time, the stars of the night sky guided fate, and this is a recollection of those times. During the age of the Erd Tree, Carian astrology withered on a vine. The fate once writ in the night skies had been fettered by the Golden Order. Radagon understood the connection between sorceries and incantations as he studied both to become complete. Radagon's Rings of Light require both intelligence and faith to wield. Radagon sought godhood. As such, he was a creator in the lands between, as evident via his greatsword, his incantations, and of course, his children. Again, both the primeval current and greater will are seen as sources of creation. Childbirth can be viewed as an act of creation as well. Ymir is interested in not only finding the origin of life, but he's also obsessed with becoming a mother himself. Ymir states, "We all need a mother, do we not? A new mother. A true mother." Count Ymir stands over a tomb in the graveyard of the Cathedral of Manus Meter, stating, "Forgive me, I have failed you, failed to birth you whole. I was not ready to be your mother, but I can still stay here, nice and close. For now, my dear, sleep soundly." The grave he is speaking to is that of Yuri, beloved child, taken before his time. Ymir wishes to rebirth Yuri, just as Rennala rebirths her sweetings, and in both cases their rebirth is not without imperfections. Ymir wishes to earn motherhood, thus he serves Meter, Mother of Fingers. Meter's body festers with unhealed wounds, just as the Mother of Truth craves a wound, both alluding to the sacrifice of motherhood. In the past, I've connected the Mother of Truth to Mother Nature, a personification of nature that focuses on the life-giving and nurturing aspects of nature by embodying it in the form of a mother, or mother goddess. The best example of this in Elden Ring is the birth of Millicent and that of her sisters, born from the bloom of Melania's scarlet rod. Rot, aka decay, is a part of the natural process, and Millicent states, "I am of Melania's blood, but in what capacity, I know not. I could be sister, daughter, or an offshoot." Offshoot is defined as a side shoot or branch on a plant. Millicent is born from Melania in a similar fashion to how Melina is born from Marika, both born from a combination of a mother and nature. That being said, the Formless Mother most directly applies to blood, which is why she craves a wound, why she bestows her power on accursed blood, and why incantations related to her are referred to as blood oaths. Accursed blood is referred to as such from the perspective of the Golden Order, but in truth it is the ancient blood of the Crucible. The Rose Church walls fester with accursed blood. Within the church is a sanguine noble. These nobles are missionaries come to share the gospel of accursed blood. Due to their use of this blood, they have black horns protruding from their necks. The same effect is seen when second-gen Albernorics are exposed to accursed blood, as they grow horns as well. Horns are aspects of the crucible. Tangled horns are a symbol of spirituality within the Hornsent culture. The crucible has a particularly strong influence on the beasts of the realm of shadow, causing many to grow horns despite the characteristics of their species. The primordial crucible, just like the Mother of Truth, One Great, and Primeval Current, are all sources of life. Although the powers that be, in an attempt to maintain their control, label these sources as heretical ideologies, the Shadowlands act as a point of origin, where we learn about the past events like the First Inquisition, where the Fingers were born, America's homeland, and the arrival of the Greater Will. Yet Marika attempts to keep knowledge veiled in shadow, using a mimic veil, akin to the one atop her bedchamber. Marika wished to become the source of creation, along with the power of the Greater Will, yet all of her children embody reminders of the past she is trying to seal away. By sealing away the history of the past, it allowed for the same atrocities to repeat, like how Rykard's Inquisition mirrors the Hornsent's Inquisition, or how Bonny Village mirrors the village of the Alban Orcs. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. While the primordial crucible, primeval current, and One Great are ancient sources of chaotic natural creation, the Greater Will, like Marika, sought control and order over these forces of nature. To me, Elden Ring is a narrative focused on finding meaning, finding purpose, and finding the origin of existence. That being said, I still have many unanswered questions and countless wild theories. Before I conclude, let's discuss some of my more speculative thoughts. Miquella mirrors Marika, thus St. Trina mirrors Radagon. The key difference is where St. Trina has plant-like characteristics, Radagon has animal-like characteristics. Radagon is clearly associated with the Misbegotten, especially Leonine Misbegotten, who have red hair and serpentine features. Children of Radagon typically display red hair and animalistic qualities as well, serpentine included. I believe that Radagon, like Bach, used Renala's ability over larval tears to rebirth him into the form of Marika that we know him as today. The larval tear was used in tandem with the gold sewing needle, one of the tools brought by Radagon when he entered into the marriage with Renala, as it contains Marika's hair. This isn't the first item associated with Marika's hair, as the golden braid is a braid of Marika's hair cut loose as an offering to the grandmother. Albeit purely speculation, Marika could have given her golden hair to Radagon prior to him leading the Golden Order's crusade into Liurnia, just as Renala gives her lustrous black hair to Rellana prior to her departure to assist Mesmer with his crusade against the Hornsent on Marika's behalf. Radagon's Rings of Light is a gift of gratitude to young Miquella from his father, Radagon, and in return Miquella gives him back the triple Rings of Light, while the incantation Multi-Layered Ring of Light, used by those who serve Miquella, is found in the Stone Coffin Fissure, and is rewarded upon defeating the spirit of a misbegotten crusader. Of course, the Golden Order Greatsword, found in the consecrated snowfield, an area associated with Miquella, is made of light and is dropped by misbegotten crusader. These crusaders were once a part of the great house of the Erdtree's crusades into Liurnia, led by Radagon. The Grafted Blade Greatsword is obtained by defeating a Leonine Misbegotten, and explains that he is a lone surviving champion from a country now vanished, which could relate to how Marika used a mimic veil, causing the Land of Shadow to vanish. When Godfrey was banished to the Long March, he took with him the Tarnished. The Rusted Anchor, dropped from a scaly Misbegotten, explains that while the Tarnished left the Lands Between with their lord, one boat alone was said to have been left behind. This boat, I believe, refers to the Misbegotten. The Hornsent NPC that the Tarnished meets in the Land of Shadow states he knows of our kind, and that although our purposes are aligned, we are not forgiven. The Hornsent states that the Erdtree is his enemy, and that our kind, the Tarnished, will never be worthy of forgiveness. He even refers to us as a zealot. Let's take this a step further. What if the Badlands are in fact the Land of Shadow? The Hornsent's hate of the Tarnished is due to their part in the Erdtree's crusades into their land. In my opinion, the Badlands are named akin to designate them as barbaric lands, essentially lands that lack the influence of Marika and the Erdtree. Just as the term barbarian was used by early Christians to refer to non-Greeks and people who spoke different languages. Godfrey has multiple clear connections to the Land of Shadow. He is of the age of the Crucible, leads the Crucible Knights, and of course is associated with the Talisman of the Lord's Bestowal, found within the Shadow Keep. The talisman states that Godfrey accepted the sap stoically, without any sign of wavering. No wonder the Lord of the Erdtree casts a long shadow over the lands. Plus, Mesmer's soldiers when in battle use war cries, they perform stomping attacks, and some utilize axes. Of course, all of these attacks are related to Godfrey. To add to this, the Axe Talisman states that the Lord who led the Long March bore an axe, and his loyal warriors honored him by wielding axes of their own. The Highlander axe is found near a painting of Godfrey and Sirach. Its item description reads that brave combatants begin battle by crying out their names, aka battle cries, and the Highland attire, found in the Land of Shadow, states that the Highland warriors are known to be hunters of bears. To them, there is no act more glorious than the subjugation of a savage beast. Sirach, once known as the Lord of Beasts, was subjugated by Godfrey into becoming his beast regent. Sirach is eventually sacrificed, and his beast blood covered Godfrey, which allowed him to regain his lust for battle, which mirrors the narrative of Red Bear, both having sacrificed powerful beasts to gain their strength. Another connection is Nefeli Lu's reaction to the atrocities committed in the village of the Albinaurics. Nefeli, the biological daughter of Godfrey, explains that she witnessed a sight much of the same in her infancy: the oppression of the weak, murder and pillage unchecked, a walking nightmare made by men. Cursemongers have destroyed the home of the Albinaurics, led by an omen killer. Omen killers have direct ties to hunting down those that contain the horn features related to the Crucible, and they carry the Great Omen Killer Cleaver, which mirrors the Bonnie Butchering Knife. Both weapons are cleavers, and both are used to amputate the bodies of those deemed as an enemy by the powers that be. In closing, I wanted to express my gratitude to all of you. Thank you to those who have listened to me ramble on, to those who have shared new perspectives with me, and especially those who have taught me something new. I also wanted to take a quick second to spotlight a few content creators who produce fascinating material. Ontos has a multitude of videos discussing varying psychological perspectives within Elden Ring. Kate the Kind is an Elden sleuth discovering Elden truths. Thank you, Kate, for teaching me about Mezzaline. And of course, last but certainly not least, Jack the Mimic, whose content is a treasure trove of knowledge and who is truly a talented storyteller. In honor of mothers and creation, I would also like to thank my mother, who has watched every video. Thank you for your devotion. And finally, a special thank you to my life partner, for without you, none of this would have been possible. You're the best editor I could have ever asked for. Thank you for always being supportive of my interests. As always, I sincerely appreciate your time today, and I hope you all have a wonderful life.